Hi, my name is Jacob Warner, and I made this film about the LGBT community in Lynchburg, Virginia, and how they connect with each other. That can be very difficult. So I interviewed several different people and got their perspectives on apps and how they find each other. And a lot of people use the OkCupid app, so that became the focus of the film.
Okay, here it goes. OkCupid. Alright. Wow, this is a lot. And there, it's made. I made my very own OkCupid.
My name is Isaac Zareli. I am the lead facilitator with the Lynchburg Diversity Center. We run the Transgender Alliance, and then we also do peer-to-peer support group and different things. I use OkCupid as a resource support for members of the LGBTQ community in Lynchburg. Lynchburg is such a unique culture, and with the dominating presence of a Christian kind of demographic, that a lot of people can't be out. And so having OkCupid as a forum for people to talk to each other privately in hopes of having some kind of resource and some kind of connection is really helpful. For my OkCupid profile, I list that I'm queer, transgender, transmasculine, male, and in a monogamous relationship. Most people, when they view my profile, they see that I'm already in a committed relationship. They're not looking for sex chat or hookups or all of the other things that you can look for on OkCupid. For me, mine is just as a resource connection. So when they look at my profile, they can say, oh, okay, this person is an advocate, this person has connections, I can get in touch with them and find support. OkCupid has been really helpful getting the word out about resources in Lynchburg. There's been a couple instances where we've had individuals connect on OkCupid, and then from there we connect on Facebook, and then we connect in real life and have face-to-face chats to where we can connect them with resources in the area. And that's been really, really helpful. One particular individual, I chatted with them about 3 months, never seeing their picture on OkCupid. I saw their picture of their cat, which was very cute. But from there, they connected me to their Facebook account, which they had created an alternate account because they were in the process of coming out as a transgender woman. And so when I connected to them on Facebook, again, they had no pictures, they had no details, no identifying information. And then so we were able to chat on Facebook instead of using OkCupid. And then slowly but surely they started coming out to their friends and their family and their significant other, and they said, look, now I need resources, I need support, I need a therapist. And so we were able to connect them to the therapist and able to get them the help that they needed.
Hello, I'm Danielle Currier. I am a sociology professor here at Randolph College. I also teach gender studies. I self-identify as bisexual. I'm divorced. I was married in January of 2014 to a woman, and I got divorced in September of 2015. One of the beauties of that was that the laws changed in Virginia so that I could actually get legally divorced here instead of having to go up to Massachusetts where we had gotten married. I am good friends with the people who run the Diversity Center here in town, and so I'm going to get involved in that. I have been very involved in the community here. I am the advisor for Bridges on the Randolph College campus, which is the LGBTQA+ student group. I was the secretary of the local PFLAG group for the past 7 or 8 months. I'm stepping down from that to work more closely with the Diversity Center because I think it's a more effective way for the LGBT community to interact. Living in Lynchburg, Virginia as a 50-year-old single bisexual woman is, shall we say, very challenging. I know a lot of the lesbian community here, and I'm friends with most of them. And so I have no desire to date my friends, and most of my friends are in long-term relationships. So I have gone on various dating sites to try and meet people. OkCupid was one of them. I started with Plenty of Fish, which is a free site, and I quickly realized that a lot of the people on Plenty of Fish are there because it's free. And even though I'm 50, I will use the term cray-cray. There were a lot of crazy, stalkerish, and this may sound snobby, but very uneducated, uninformed people. Not only am I a professor, but I'm also very liberal, very active in the Democratic Party, and I'm a feminist. So I put that on my site, and I got people who just were not anything like me. So a friend of mine suggested that I go on OkCupid because of the extent of the questions that they ask you. And I will say that that also has been challenging because I went on there primarily looking to meet women. In part because I had been married to a woman, and I've just been dating women exclusively for 13 years now. And most of the emails that I got back were from men. And not necessarily in a positive way. I did meet a couple of women through OkCupid, but I've had very little success, in part because they're so far away. Lynchburg is a really challenging place, as I said earlier, to meet people. So most of the people that I've encountered have been in Greensboro, Raleigh, Richmond, and a lot of people don't want to commute and travel to meet somebody. So in general, I would say OkCupid has been okay. But I find the people who are on there to be actually somewhat limited in terms of what they're looking for, because OkCupid has this range of things you can do, everything from looking for marriage to casual sex. And I have found that I would say 90% of the people who have contacted me, men and women, have been looking just for casual sex, even though I say on there that I'm looking for a relationship. So it's been frustrating that they don't actually read your profile. They go just by pictures, and they don't pay attention to what you really want. So the advantage of OkCupid is that you can go on there as a queer woman looking for another queer woman. One of the things that I like about the websites is that living in a pretty rural area and living in the part of Virginia that we do, is that it's much easier, at least it has been for me, to meet people online than it is in person. In part because I know everybody in the community, or I know a lot of people, and in part because there are a lot of people who aren't out here. And there's a lot smaller community than there is in other places. So the internet allows you to contact people who are maybe 2, 3, 4 hours away, like in DC or Richmond or more progressive places. And one of the things that I liked about OkCupid was the extensive questions that they had you answer. Very random questions that I never would have thought before, but they're important to know. Are you a vegetarian? Do you have rape fantasies? Do you engage in threesomes? Are you a fundamentalist? So the things that you wouldn't necessarily think to ask, that other websites don't necessarily ask. And the thing I did like about OkCupid was it wasn't religiously based, because some of the others, like eHarmony, asked a ton of questions, but they're looking for people who are in the religious community, and for the most part they tend to be much more closed-minded about the LGBT community. So it has been a very interesting adventure. I actually took my profile from Plenty of Fish down, and I've now hidden my profile from OkCupid to take a little bit of a break from the inundation of crazy men who seem to think that women who are on that site want to have a threesome or something like that. So I guess that's all I have to say about that topic.
Hi, I'm Amanda Sandos, and I identify as bisexual. And my affiliation with the LGBT community in Lynchburg is sort of twofold. I helped start the PFLAG here and was the treasurer of PFLAG for 3 years until I'm stepping down this month. And then I also was one of the founding members of the Lynchburg Diversity Center in Lynchburg. Lynchburg's kind of a strange place to be out because about 50% or more of the population are Thomas Rhodes Baptist Church people, which means they believe in the teachings of Jerry Falwell. So it's kind of a harsh place to be out here, and there's not a whole lot of social life here that I've found. And I've lived here on and off since I was a kid because my grandmother had a farm here, so I came and spent the summers and never really dated here, never found anybody to date here. Even through the PFLAG and being a part of all that, I haven't really met people to date. I think I've met one woman that I went out with once. And otherwise have had a really hard time finding a social setting where I could meet other LGBT people. So that's why I signed up for OkCupid. And I chose OkCupid because it was one of the few places where you could talk about your orientation and be open about that, but also looking for someone to date, not just someone to have sex with. So I didn't want to get on Brenda or any of those things. So I chose that one, and I tried to fill out my profile to be really honest about who I was and what I wanted, and didn't have much luck finding any of that. I think part of that, at least the way I see it, is that the bisexual thing already gives me a problem even in the LGBT community, because lots of lesbians either don't want to trust me, it's actually both sexes don't want to trust me to stick with the sex that I'm dating, or they think that this means I'm polyamorous or any other number of things. And also there's the idea that I might not really be honest, that I'm not really admitting that I'm a lesbian. So I found some of that in the people that I tried to date. And I didn't have a really good experience with OkCupid, and I have not been using it recently. I sort of gave up on that, and I haven't been dating at all. So I would love to find something that's more approachable and less online, I guess, where I could actually meet people and get to know them before I actually tried to go out with them. Because I think that was part of the problem too, was that we would talk online and there's that shroud of, people don't really have to be honest. And it's easier to not be honest, but then when you get together, anyway, for example, I met one guy who lived in DC, and I was really, really excited about him, and we talked for weeks, and it really seemed like we were gonna mesh, and then we decided to meet up for coffee halfway in between, and I was really excited about it. And as we meet up for coffee, I find out that he left out one sort of vital thing of information, which was that he doesn't have a home, he lives out of his van, and he believes that he wants to stay off the grid, and that's fine, but it's not really my scene, so that didn't work out either. So anyway, I'm hoping that I can try again, and since I haven't found anybody to date, I was planning to sort of go back and re-answer the questions and see what I come up with.